Welcome to Coffee Meets Cloud, where three women in tech come together to share real stories about leadership, life, and everything in between. Join our hosts, Karami McCollum.
Oh, I love the voice note feature, y'all.
Cassandra Parker.
I'm hanging in there like a hair in a biscuit.
And Rachel Rogers.
We have the power to change it.
Your go-to source for candid conversations and unfiltered insights. So, grab your coffee, pull up a chair, and join the chaos.
Welcome to Coffee Meets Cloud.
Yay, you heard it here first. Welcome to the show.
Well, we hope you enjoyed this morning's opening from Karami's littlest one. She's so excited.
Let's call your Joe. She is my mini-me. She loves to do everything mommy does. So this morning she came into our bathroom. I think I've told y'all before, maybe it was the last episode, she likes to come in the bathroom when I'm getting ready and mimic me. So she comes in there and asked me to put her up on the sink next to where I'm in the mirror doing my thing. She grabs my glasses. Look, I'm you, mommy. Welcome to Coffee Meets Cloud.
So sick and cute.
I said, hold on, I got to get a video.
That's too cute.
So Rachel, you're traveling.
Woo. Yeah, flying out tonight. So we swapped up our recording a little bit differently this week as a result. But yeah, heading out to Google Next conference. And I think we all know, or maybe we should tell the viewers how tech conferences go if you are not familiar with a tech conference.
It's a marathon, not a sprint. Doesn't matter which one you go to. It's a lot.
Mm-hmm. And it's a lot of learning, but like at a different level. Like I feel like some conferences you go to, like I remember when I go to oil and gas and it was physical products, there was science to it, but it wasn't the same, I feel like, as when you go to a tech conference and you're learning about, I'm going to learn about AI, right? So all the things that people don't really know about just yet and how to make them all work and how to govern them and all that jazz. So I feel like that is just a different level. So I've tried to get plenty of sleep and my nights are going to be crashing early and hoping for the best.
Yeah. We sent some of our crew to TDX. They just got back and they were super hyped. But literally when we were talking to them yesterday, they were like, in the keynote, we heard 5 new terms that we've never heard before. Like there were 5 new things that we'd never heard. I mean, we are in technology. Everyone's focused on AI, right? Like we're doing all the things, but yeah, it's always something new and it's changing so quickly nowadays.
That's the thing. Yeah.
You just can't, there's no way one human can stay on top of everything. So.
Well, and if you don't know what TDX is, that's Salesforce's conference for developers and admins called TrailheadX. It is something, they say go to Dreamforce. By the way, Dreamforce registration is supposed to open this week. So if you're on that train, but really Dreamforce has become more for executives and leadership levels. And TrailheadX is like where you go get your hands dirty now. Whereas like Google has one conference. So everybody's in the mixture together like Salesforce used to be.
Yeah.
So it'll be interesting from that perspective, but it's going to be 2 days of nonstop learning. And then Friday will be a crash day. But, the other thing, every time we go to a conference, you're going 3 to 4 hours behind you in time zone, which sounds amazing until you still manage a team on the East Coast.
Well, and you're keeping their hours. So your body is trying to get up at 4 or 5 a.m. if you're lucky over there. And then you have to power through into what would be your, by the time you do dinner and everything, it would be like your 11 p.m. midnight, really, that you're finally getting back and going to bed?
That's like tonight. I fly out. I got my flight a little bit earlier, so it flies out at 5. I land in Vegas at like 7:30, right? But that's really what, 8:30, 9:30, 10:30 our time. So by the time I get my luggage, get to the hotel, get something to eat, I'm looking at probably midnight our time.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So it just makes for a really long day because you still have to get up at your normal household time on the day you go to travel. And the crazy thing is especially right now, like flights, there are fewer flights now. Like, I don't know if you guys heard the news, like Air Canada is saying they're going to make even less flights to come to the US due to oil, gas shortages that they're having, right? So there's less flights, they're fuller flights. So your ability to even like get good seats on a flight or get times that might be a little bit more convenient. Like I booked
You're
2
lucky to
months
get
out.
a flight.
Right. I booked 2 months out and had trouble getting,
Yeah.
the seats I wanted on a plane. So it's definitely going to be an adventure, but it's my first time going to Google. So I'll tell you all about it when I get back.
Yeah, that'll be a whole
Yeah.
conversation.
And Benson Moon is playing.
Oh, Liam's fave.
Wasn't he at Dreamforce?
He was at
last year?
Dreamforce. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Oh, I didn't go, so I don't know
And
how
then
it
there's
was. Or,
I didn't go.
there's the
Just
I mean, I went to
Chainsmokers.
Dreamforce, but not the concert.
I didn't
There's-
care. I wanted to go to bed. To
Yeah.
Rachel's point, a long, tired day equals we went to dinner and then we went to bed.
Well, that's the thing. I was like, everybody, there's still a happy hour by the time I land because they're trying to like make sure people get registered. Now, the cool thing I'll tell you that I haven't seen at Dreamforce is Google Next. You can actually pick up your badge in the airport.
Oh,
So
nice.
in
That is cool.
luggage, baggage claim, there's all of these stations where you can go and get your badge. Then you can actually get on a shuttle bus to like the main conference hotel. So I thought
That's
that was
genius.
super neat. Yeah, that's definitely something that Salesforce could step their game up on. They're looking for ideas.
For real.
Yeah, I mean,
Of
how
course, that
convenient.
airport's so small.
Yeah, but how convenient versus having to go to another place to pick up your badge, to have to go
Right.
through all of the things. And badges are open, I think, till like 11 o'clock at night. So it's really convenient for people to go and get to.
Love that. Love
Yeah.
convenience.
But I feel like Vegas never really sleeps. So it probably makes sense when you're in Vegas to do those things versus San Francisco.
Yeah, probably. San Francisco's, I'm over it. Like, I want to go somewhere else. I want to go anywhere else. Tired. It's a
Well-
lovely city. Don't get me wrong. But after you've been there like 10 times, it's like, I'm good.
Well, it's also the fact, I feel like in San Francisco, you traverse the city, right? Like you're up and down the hills and over here and over there. And you can't ever really make a real schedule because you have to make a schedule by building, which isn't necessarily how maybe not all the things you want are in that one building. But if you
Right.
need to go to different buildings, you got to schedule, 20 minutes or so to walk between buildings?
Well, and now, I don't know about other conferences, but with Dreamforce specifically, it's gotten so bad about having to get there so early before the session even
Yes.
starts that, you're already trying to balance, okay, which of these do I go to that are at the exact same time? It's gotten to where actually it's which of these 4 do I really want to go to that are at the exact same time? And now I can't even, you really have to give yourself a session's worth of time between
Yep.
sessions to get there and get there
And
in
sit in
time
line.
before you lose your spot. Because even if you've reserved a spot and it's not open seating, they will give your spot away if you're not there. What is it, 10 minutes before or something like
10 or
that?
15.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's tough.
This says that so you have the reserve your spot thing. It says that you have to be there. It'll save it as long as you're there 5 minutes before. So we'll see how that works.
See if it actually happens.
Because if that happens that way, that would be nice. That would give you a little bit more
Sure.
time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Well,
We'll
good luck
see.
in all the travels.
Yeah. Shout out to all the government employees who are back to work. We're so
Mhm.
glad for
Yes.
you and the rest of the country because we all feel it when you are not being paid. And don't get me wrong, I wouldn't go to work either. Let's be clear.
No.
Ain't no way.
Yeah.
I fully
You
support.
You can't support your household.
No.
It's just
No.
I'm
ridiculous.
not working for free.
No, if you're
No.
not paying me, I won't be there. And find me picking up shifts at the Home Depot or something as a
Right.
filler until they're back up and running.
Yeah. Exactly.
But
Yeah.
I am glad. Like, I was so worried about our team that was going to TDX because, when we were first planning the travel and they were booking, it was still the government shutdown. And I thought, oh my gosh, I was seeing these videos all over everything about these lines. And we talked about it in some episodes It was like backed out into parking decks. People were
And
waiting.
people spending the night in the airport because they wanted to make sure they were there in time. Come on now. If you've ever had a flight canceled and had to stay for longer than a few hours in an airport, you know that is absolute misery. There is nothing enjoyable about an airport.
Well, and what was crazy about it too, so not that we should have had 2 government shutdowns in less than a year, but the first government shutdown was at least consistent on the experience you could expect at the airport. So
Yeah.
I had to travel a bunch during then. You knew what to do. You knew how to get there early. It was fine. This last one, so inconsistent. Some days the airport was a ghost town and you could just walk right through. Some days 4-hour wait and you didn't know really what it would do. And you would look at the app to tell you like how long's the wait. And I tell you, that app was not accurate. It was like sometimes
didn't they shut the app down at some point because they were just like we
couldn't keep up
predict anything. We just
because
shut
it was so much variability in it. It just I don't know. But
for those of you who don't live near the Atlanta airport and you get to go to smaller airports, you're good for you that you don't have to fly out of Atlanta. Because I do love. There's one thing I love about Atlanta. Getting on my Delta flights anywhere I want to go with no problem because I'm a Delta girly. I love my Delta. Everything else pales in comparison. However, it's so busy. You are no matter like to Rachel's point, no matter when you go, it's crazy. Like it's always crazy down there. So
Hartsfield-Jackson, which is the name of the airport, is the most efficient and well-running airport you will find yourself going through. So even when it's busy, it's very overstimulating because it's so busy, but it's
well ran.
It's fine. It's well ran. But I say that to say, if it's not going well, if you're seeing videos of people in those long lines at Hartsfield-Jackson, go home because that means all the airports.
That means you don't want to fly out of LaGuardia or JFK or you don't want to be in O'Hare. Like you don't want to be in any of those.
LaGuardia actually has a little bit better security process than Atlanta does. They actually have the true digital touchless ID where you just walk up, it scans your face, and you walk right through.
Nice.
Atlanta still makes you do different steps half the time, which is a little bit interesting. But I will tell you, if you are overstimulated and you have to get in a wheelchair or you choose to get in a wheelchair, I will tell you some of the wheelchair rides I have had at ATL are some of the scariest rides I have had probably in my entire life. These little people are they are fearless, man. And I get it because nobody's caring. Nobody's caring that there's a wheelchair. No. But when the guy ran me into a pole, like I cared. Okay. I cared a lot because that was a jarring experience.
Did they sit you on the plane train and let you go so that when it stopped you just
no. So I don't do the plane train, right? I get it. Well, you do the plane train when you exit the plane because that's where they pick you up.
Baggage claim.
But when you board the plane, I just have them drop me off at the Delta Lounge. It's fine. But I don't get them on the plane. But they are fearless people. And kudos to them. I mean, all the steps they're getting, that's a workout. You push in, and you don't ever know who you're getting on a wheelchair. So sometimes you get small people. Sometimes you get bigger people. Sometimes you get bigger people and luggage, right? So that's a workout.
If you ever go to the airport, especially in Atlanta, when there's not a lot of people, for some reason you're there in the middle of the night or whatever, and you look down one of the concourses and you can see the curvature of the earth literally in like that's how big it is. If you've never been, you need to experience the Atlanta airport one time. It's huge. For us, it's just like a thing. We don't think about it. It's like, oh yeah, we're at gate A way down there, just start hiking now. But when certain people I've talked to that came in, they're like, I did not realize how big that airport is. When you have to have train to get between concourses, come on now.
But see, that's the part about ATL that confused me. Houston has a huge airport too. They have IAH. It's a big international airport. It does direct flights everywhere as well. But what they don't have is they don't have the underground train because their concourses are truly connected. Like it is like more of an experience where in ATL, you've got the underground tunnels that you could choose to walk through, but it's not really a connected concourse experience.
Yeah.
That tripped me up. I was like, what do you mean I have to get on a train? And where is this train taking me? And how am I, like, what is happening?
I have to go down, to go over, to go
Right.
up to the next
Which is
concourse,
kind
and
of
heck,
unfair to travelers. Like,
is.
Yeah.
you know, getting to and getting through airports is stressful enough. And then when you talk about like where you're leaving from and where you're getting into could have completely different layouts that you have to learn how to navigate. And then when they have different security measures and different processes you're
Mhm.
supposed to follow, that's also unfair because TSA, they're frustrated. They're repeating themselves over and over all day. So I understand why they're not always patient. But like if it's that traveler's first time in that airport, and you know, if they're used to coming in and out of a different one with completely different
Right.
security measures, sure, maybe you've got some signage, but you've also got a ton of other signage, and there's all these other there's shouting going on from like
Well,
it's just it's a lot.
and heaven forbid you speak a different language. I will tell you, when I
Oh, man.
first flew overseas and I had to go through different airports, that to me is the scariest because you don't speak the language. And so once
Mhm.
you get out of certain areas, there really is nobody to help you. And this was before like smartphones were really a thing. So I would remember taking the United. I flew out of United for Houston for oil and gas. I take the United map of airports in the back, and I was like studying them of like, okay, where am I going to be? How am I going to get there? Because you try to navigate the Amsterdam airport when you don't speak the language, the Rio de Janeiro airport. It's, yeah, yeah. Thank goodness for smartphones. And most smartphones now have the airport layouts loaded in the apps, but whew, yeah.
I get anxiety a little bit about not knowing what to expect in an upcoming
Yeah.
situation, but I get the most anxiety about time. So there's
Yes.
nothing better than getting to the airport very early and having the luxury of just working from there or shopping or listening to an audiobook or reading or whatever it is and just being like, in about an hour, I'll get up and make my way to my gate. I can be sitting
Yeah.
anywhere, hanging out, doing anything. All the
The
hard parts are
stressful
done now.
part is over, right? Like you've made it through
Mhm.
TSA, you're inside, you're like, I'm good now. Yeah, I agree. I'm one of the early to the airport gals. I do not do late. I had a friend that I used to travel with who literally I would be waiting at the gate for them for an hour and they'd say, "Oh, I'm on my way." And 5 minutes before boarding, they would roll up. And I'm just like, no, I can't live that life. I just can't.
No, I'm the same. Let me take my time. Let me not stress about it. Let me just ease my way through. I don't want to deal with all of that.
That's why I
And you
hate
never
early morning
know.
flights because I have to leave my house at like 3 a.m.
Well, and I think too, even as a seasoned traveler, you never know what's going to set TSA off. I feel like I will travel with the same things consistently, and sometimes my bag gets searched, and sometimes my bag doesn't get searched. And I'm like, there's nothing different in that bag. I keep most of it pre-packed. So what is setting it off? And that's always nervous too, because you're like, you're thinking in your head, like, what did I pack? What's in
Did I
there?
put something in there I shouldn't have?
Right.
One time I put a whole can of hairspray, not even thinking
Oh,
about it,
yeah.
in my carry-on.
Right.
And they were just it got searched, and I was like, "What did I do?" And like,
Yeah.
"Is this your can of hairspray?" "Yes, just throw it away." "Yes, it's $20, but what am I gonna do?"
You can't take it with you. Well, that's my brother. Okay, so this is pre 9/11. We were flying to Vegas to visit my aunt. She lived there. We never flew as a family. So this was one of the only times we flew. It was a red-eye flight because that's what we were doing. And my brother packed his own backpack for the plane. So it goes through the scanner and they're like, we need this backpack. And my dad's looking at my brother like, what did you pack? And I don't know, my brother was probably like 8 at the time. And my brother was like, nothing, nothing. I didn't pack
I can
anything.
feel where this is going.
And my dad's like, what did you pack? And these people are like opening the backpack and shutting it real quick. And then opening again. He packed a 10-foot rubber snake and had it curled up in his backpack.
I
My
was wrong
dad
about
was
where I
like-
thought that was going.
Me
My dad was like, boy, what did you do? And I was like, yeah, that was before snakes on a plane were a thing. My brother was ahead of his time.
Well, I mean,
Yeah.
I don't think there's anything like a rule against toys. I mean, like The plastic snake, I assume, was fine,
No,
right?
but
They
you
just
might
had to
they
get
make sure it
let her.
wasn't real. Yeah.
They
That's
gave it back,
hilarious.
but it was they definitely thought he had a real snake in his backpack.
Listen, I
that he was
appreciate them
trying to
checking,
smuggle.
because let me be on a flight where a real snake comes out of somebody's bag.
A
snakes on a
10-foot real
plane.
snake. Yeah.
No, ma'am. No, no, ma'am. I'm not about that life.
Yeah.
Oh gosh. I got my endocrinology appointment booked, but man, specialist appointments are booked so far out.
Was it like July?
Well, originally that's what she said, but then she was like, unless you don't mind, because the referral was to a specific provider, but
Yeah.
she said, if you don't mind seeing one of the nurse practitioners, I can get you in at the end of May. And I was like, I don't care. Like,
That's
feel like
amazing.
they've done a lot of schooling as well, and I'm sure they'll get a second opinion from
Right.
an MD if they're unsure. So, sure.
I was literally
yeah.
talking to a friend yesterday who said that her son's endocrinology appointment is in like July.
Yeah.
I was like,
Well,
What?
every
Oh, I hate that
appointment
he
I've
has to.
had to book for Kinley has been 6 months out.
Well,
for
you know,
basically-
Rowan is just now about to have his first. Y'all know I always get psychologist appointment in June.
Mhm.
You remember we
Yeah.
talked about this
Yeah.
months ago,
Mhm.
and they referred him. It's coming up in June.
Well,
That's how long it's been.
remember when I had to get the appointment at Emory and I had the referral and it took me a year? When that lady called me and was like, "Let's schedule your appointment," she said a year out. I laughed because I was like, "What?" She's like, "No, that's legit the soonest." And it never moved up. It was always a year out, but it's because there's a staffing shortage, right?
Well, there's
A
so
lot of
few providers
yeah.
who are in those specialties, because think about how long schooling is to just be a general MD. And then if you want to be a specialist in something, I think you have to go on and do certain things to have the discipline in that area, like
Yeah.
study it for so long.
Yeah.
I mean, a lot of people don't want to be in school that long and have all
But
those
they also, a
loans.
lot of people dropped out after COVID, right? A
Yeah.
lot
Yeah.
of people just retired because the system got overwhelmed. And I don't
Yeah.
blame them. Do you guys watch the series on TV called Doc?
Mm-mm.
So it's a show about a doctor who was a real bee. And then she got in a car accident and she lost all her memories, so she came back like a normal person.
Oh, I've seen commercials for that.
Okay, so this last episode, they were doing like all these flashbacks of how things were during COVID inside the hospital. And I was like, I can just imagine having true PTSD from that, of just that experience, and they were talking about just how many people would just die, right? And there was nothing you could do. And that's where I'm just like, thankful for everybody who did the things and who helped people the best they could.
Yeah.
And, wish there was more we could do to support them from things that they probably still go through.
They probably have PTSD. I would. Yeah.
That reminds me, I don't think we've talked about the update with Rowan in a while, but he's on a 504 at school, so we have a follow-up with the administration about that in a couple weeks. I think this is just a touch base kind of deal. I don't know, because we're still pretty new to the 504 situation. It's a check-in with the AP, and then he had a speech and hearing screening with one of the speech therapists. I think I told you guys he has developed a stutter. And we were trying to get him some support through his our normal network, our normal, what do you call it? Healthcare network.
Healthcare, yeah.
But it was going to be a crazy out-of-pocket expense just to have him evaluated with insurance and a decent deductible. It was going to be pretty hefty, so we didn't go that route. But they did a screening through school and confirmed that he did not pass obviously he didn't pass that, so now they're going to be working with him at school. I again don't know exactly what that means, because the letter that she sent home is kind of generic, just like, we tested him, here's the results, we're going to be working with him. thanks for supporting us. And I'm like, okay, what does that mean? Like, what are you going to be doing? How often are you going to be doing it? What can we do at home to help support that? Like, so I sent her an email, but I have no information yet. Wild. I'm ready for summer.
Yeah,
I can't take
Liam's
this
ready
anymore.
for summer. But I will tell you, in the vein of updating about kids things, we put Liam on ADHD meds back in January, and he's had some adjustments since then because it wasn't strong enough. And then we put him on extended release and all the
he
different
is on extended release now. Okay.
Yeah, when he turned 6 last month, we were able to put him on extended release. So he's on extended release now. It seems to be doing really well. And we got his MAP test scores back. And in the fall, his test scores were like for math and reading were in the like 90s, something like that, which was very low. And it went off the charts. So his maps and his both of them, he doubled his score. He was like a 180s and 190s, and like he's off the charts.
That's
so
awesome.
That's amazing.
I'm so excited. That's when it makes you feel good as a parent that you did the right thing because your child really needed help. It wasn't just he's a boy and wild and he needs to learn to sit down. It's no, you really have a problem, and now that you can focus.
Well, and he was probably retaining a lot more than you could really realize. And because obviously, if he's dealing with those challenges, he's not going to be a good test taker.
No.
So now,
and that's what the teacher would say. You would ask him, because they do a lot of verbal stuff in kindergarten because you're still learning, to read and all this stuff. She would take him outside and say, okay, Liam, let's walk through these things. And she would ask him questions. He would just absolutely refuse to respond or just like go float off and do something else. Just so you don't know what he knows because he won't answer you. So I know we got those in the mail. My husband was like, hey, he got some test scores. It looks like it's going up. Like, I think that's a good thing. I'm like, yes, that's a great thing.
That's awesome.
Did I tell y'all the email that I got from Rowan's teacher a couple weeks ago about
I think so.
her? Okay. I'm figuring out how I say this where we don't have to categorize this episode for adults. But I had emailed her. This was when we were arranging for the speech screening. And I had emailed her to say, hey, I signed the consent form. It's in his bag. Because if I rely on him to get it out and turn it in, it'll be a month, maybe, if we're lucky. So she replies the next day and she's like, or the end of the day, she's like, thanks, I got it. Unrelated. I had to have a conversation with Rowan today because he was picking on a little girl in the class. And I mean, when she says picking on, he, just like that, I'm a boy, you're a girl, like, nothing crazy. But he was picking on a little girl in the class and he called her the word he called her, I'll just say starts with an L and can be used to, one could use to refer to me and my wife.
Okay.
I could have crawled under my desk when I read that email because I'm thinking to myself, son, of all the words in the dictionary you could have used with an audience, it had to be that one, So she goes on to say in the email that she asked him if he knew what that meant, and he said no. But could we please have another conversation with him at home, just as a reminder that we need to respect other students, blah, blah. So he comes home, and I was like, so I heard from your teacher today, and I go on to explain, and I was like, first of all, are you kidding me? Bye, baby. Are you kidding? Second of all, you know that we don't pick on other kids. Like, you don't want to be the reason somebody doesn't feel comfortable coming to school. How would you feel? You know how it makes you feel when somebody's picking on you.
Right.
Third of all, do you in fact know what that word means? And he was like, no. I said, well, where'd you hear it from? So he heard it from another kid in his class that's another goofball who heard it from who knows wherever, whatever. So I go on to explain to him what it means. And he was like shocked at what it actually means. But I just was like, when they say parenting is an exercise in patience, this is what they're talking about. The secondhand embarrassment. Please stop doing this to me, son. Please. Stop making your teacher have to email me stuff like this. That woman had to type that word.
I know.
In an email and send it to me.
Look, Liam came home and his teacher had sent me an email because he was holding his middle finger up and just pointing. And I had to have this whole conversation with him about how that's bad and try to explain to a 6-year-old why that one specific finger is a negative gesture and we don't hold that one finger up. But what's wrong with this one? You know, like he did not comprehend that this one's fine, but this one's bad. And it was it was 45 minutes.
But try to get him to not do it. And
because then it's funny.
Right. Then it's funny. Then it's hilarious. Then I know what it means. I'm going to do it. I will tell you, your patience opportunity has not yet arisen in your parenting journey. I appreciate and I know
Lord help us all.
how that feels. But I will tell you the patience with a teenager, because the hormones are all over the board. And just like when they're little, and they can't communicate or they're overwhelmed and so they don't want to communicate, it's that on steroids. And it's really, I think my husband's probably at his wit's end right about now with all of it.
I'm worried for me.
Yeah. And I'm like, they can't control it. That's the problem is they're logical. And so you feel like now you can have the conversation and set them on the right path. But then their brain goes haywire because that's what's happening. And it resets itself all the time. And you're like, okay, can we decompose what just happened? Why did you yell at me? Like, what is going on? Well, I didn't mean to. And then it's like the reverse. And then there's like all this guilt because they didn't mean to, but they did. And so now you're like on the complete other side of the spectrum. And you're like, I would just like 2 minutes of normal. I don't care what 2 minutes, just 2 minutes. That would be amazing. Or then they just shut down.
I've had to really start working with Collier on handling the flooding of emotions because she's officially to that point and it will just continue.
Just wait.
It's so melodramatic, but I mean, she feels it, it's not like she's just doing it to do it.
You can't invalidate their feelings because they're
No.
feeling their feelings and you have to be like, okay, I get it. But also you have to be like, okay, this is not the end of the world. I know it feels like the end of the world in your little circle, but
I just keep having to say to her, I mean, because she's going on 5. So hers are about things like she calls Rowan Bubba. Sorry, I know that sounds country as cornbread.
I think it's cute.
She calls him Bubba. He calls her by her name. I tried to get her to call him Sissy, which is also country as cornbread, but that's just what my family always did. So I just think it's adorable. He won't do it. He calls her by her name, but she'll come running in. Bubba won't play with me, or he whatever. It's usually about him or the dog jumped on her or the whatever it is, or she fell, and it is hysterics. And like, there's no obvious boo-boo.
She's not hurt.
There's no blood. It just usually scares her. It smarts, initially, but I know after about 30 seconds, the pain part is gone and she's just gotten herself all spun up. I feel like a broken record because let's breathe. It's going to be okay. I know that was scary. I know that hurt. Remember, if we breathe, it helps you feel better. It helps the pain go away. And I have to get in her face. Like we're almost nose to nose because otherwise I can't reach her. She's so whatever that she's not even hearing me. I get right in her face. Yeah, she's so spun up. I get right in her face and I breathe like really dramatically and loud. And after about the 3rd time I do it, then she kind of joins in and she does it. And after 3 breaths, she's pretty fine, but it's just reaching her. And in the meantime, I'm trying to regulate my emotions because at this point I've heard the screaming for who knows how long, and it's right in my face because she wants me to hold her. It's right in my ear. And I'm just like, if you don't help me help you, I'm going to lose it.
It's like that Southern saying, come here, let me give you something to cry about. But I do think, look, as parents, I feel, and not that any parent before us did any wrong, but I do feel that there's something to be said to let your kids still experience those emotions.
Sure.
Because otherwise you teach your kids not to talk about things, not to experience the emotion. And that creates a whole different level of problems and a whole different level of things that will come out some way or another in the future. It's not ever going to just go away. You've just channeled it to different non-healthy activities versus letting them have those moments. I feel like that's so important in
Well, and I think,
parenting.
you'd be amazed at what little things can really make such a difference with that stuff. Like, I see our oldest do things to regulate his emotions that I have never seen out of some adults in my life.
Yeah.
Like, he gets easily frustrated because he's a boy and he has ADHD, and more often than not, and it's more the older he's getting, I can watch him, like, we'll both be in the kitchen on opposite sides, and I'm correcting him or letting him know, we're not going to argue about this. I've given you an instruction. It's time to go get in the shower. If you say something else instead of following my direction, because he's bad, and that's an ADHD thing, bad about wanting to rationalize and but. Yeah. And at some point when it's just but over and over, it's teetering into disrespect. Like, it's one thing to try to understand the situation. It's another thing to try to talk me out of it and refuse to follow my instructions, right? So at some point, usually I have to say, if another word comes out of your mouth instead of following my instruction, because we've already been over this, there's going to be consequences. You're going to lose the privilege of that game tomorrow, whatever it is. His initial reaction is frustration. And you can kind of see in his body language him go way up. And then you see him go literally. And then he's quiet and he goes off and does whatever the thing is. Not always, because he's not a perfect human.
I can't wait until Liam reaches that goal, because right now it's argue. And I'm like, we're not having this conversation anymore. I've said my piece. I've counted to 3. We're doing the thing.
Then it's a meltdown.
Do whatever I told you. And it's a meltdown.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I need him to realize, like, melting down makes it worse. Because right now he has no TV when he comes home today because he was awful this morning to get his clothes on. Like, it's all the whole things. And I'm like, just put it on. It's not that big a deal.
I would say, because Rowan used to be the exact same way. It was more meltdowns than not. I think it's just age and time to mature, and you can't rush that. There's no specific age for each kid. Used to be, it was probably like 80% of the time he was melting down. Now it's kind of the reverse. Like 80% of the time he just regulates his frustration and goes on. But that's just because he's almost 9 years old, and we've spent years doing the same practices over and over. It's just repetition. And like I said, time to grow up, and you can't rush that. It takes however long it takes.
Well, and realize there might be a backward slide too, because Kenley will do the same thing where she will regulate, but she will get to the point now because she's so overwhelmed that she can't regulate anymore. And it is, I'm going to come at you guns swinging, right? And then you got to knock her back down. And you got to then let her walk away, be upset about it, and then come back and say, okay, now let's have a real conversation, right? But to your point, Kimmy, you can't back down, because if you back down, you're just teaching them that when they go that way, they're going to get their way. And then that becomes their way of conflict resolution versus any of the healthy patterns that you're trying to teach them.
Well, it's so hard in the moment because we're also frustrated by whatever it is. We're trying to regulate our own emotions through a frustrating situation while helping them regulate theirs. So it's very hard, and it takes a lot of practice, and I get it wrong a lot of the times, but I try so hard to think about how I would feel. Like if I'm really frustrated about something, what do I want to hear out of somebody? Or what grace do I want to get from the other person in the situation? So it becomes like trying to zoom out and understand, okay, did he sleep well last night?
Right.
Has he had a little bit too much time on screens where he needs a reset? And trying to understand like what he needs to be able to handle the rest of the day better. I think you need some quiet time. Do you want to read or go play with Legos? I think we're going to take a break from screens for the rest of the day. I think you need to go lay down because you didn't have a lot of sleep. Or I think you might be getting hangry because you really didn't want to eat a lot at lunch. Let's go ahead and have a snack. Like teaching them how to
recognize.
How to recognize some of those triggers in themselves. But then also just going, listen, I know that's frustrating. Like it's disappointing when you really just want to go up the street and play more video games with your friends, but you've already had 2 hours today and it's only noon. And you know how you feel when you have too much of that. So we're not going to be able to do that. When you can gather yourself, I'll be out back. You can rejoin the rest of the family.
Well, that's the same lesson you have to teach employees sometimes, which, parenting and being a leader and a manager is not really that different in that arena, but they're very different tactics you have to teach people. And I think, you've got to really make sure that even as an adult, you check yourself, you regulate yourself, and that you have friends that help you do that. If you are flying off the cuff, I will tell you right now, Carmi is really good about sending us a voice note and caveating that voice note about whether or not we need headphones before we listen to said voice note.
But sometimes that's how
you got 10 seconds to get the
But now that's how you get your
countdown.
frustration out, right? Like you've said, all right, I've had it. I need to let this thing out, and now I feel better.
I process things audibly. I need to say them out loud. I need to hear myself say them, and then I can pretty much process it, tie a bow on it, and move on.
Let it go. Move on.
Well, I think that's the thing is everybody still has to get it out. It's just a matter of finding a healthy way to do that. And hopefully you have some really good friends, or if you don't have really good friends, there's good therapists online too that you can reach out to really get you some help. But unfortunately, that's all the time we have for this episode. But we can pick it up next episode.
All right.
We'll see if we can do more of these kiddo intros as we go into the summer season when more of them are home for a while.
I'll have to play the episode for her when it releases so she can hear herself. She's going to be so proud. Obsessed.
And see herself because she can see it now on YouTube.
She did a great job.
Thanks. Well, thank you guys so much for tuning into this week's episode. We're glad you were here. We drop episodes every Tuesday. We hope we will see you next time. Follow us on socials at Coffee Meets Cloud or visit our website at coffeemeetscloud.com. Until next week.
Keep your coffee strong.
Bye, guys.
Bye.